So, there's this really interesting approach when it comes to business development in the world of production companies and event agencies. It's not your standard corporate spiel. It's all about relationships, trust, and being genuinely present as a local production partner.
Oh, absolutely. And it's fascinating how the entire sales cycle leans on building those personal bonds, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, the process starts with the awareness phase, essentially just getting on their radar. It's super informal. Think about being visible at shows, networking events, using social media like LinkedIn or even Facebook and Instagram.
Right? And it's that word of mouth and actual presence that really matters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and once you're seen, then you have this evaluation and trial phase. New contacts kind of test you out, like they might give you a small gig or ask you to be their backup on a lower risk project.
Hmm. So it's like they're assessing your responsiveness, your skill, and whether you make their life easier.
Right on. Right? And that's where the whole tactic of reaching out with short direct check in messages or relevant posts on LinkedIn comes into play. It's crucial to, actively stay in their field of view without overloading them.
True. Sometimes I wonder though, isn't there a risk of coming off as too pushy if you overdo those messages?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's so important to keep your communication clear and intentional. More about being helpful than, salesy. It's that fine balance of under-promising and over-delivering.
And then once you nail that first gig, things really start to shift. You begin to move towards becoming a go-to partner for their production needs.
Exactly. After a few successful shows, you turn into, well, not just a vendor, but a strategic partner who's brought into planning well before the actual show. It's about like always being there and making the client's job easier.
I like that idea of making their life easier. It really speaks to your value proposition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you think about it, the core message that really needs to stay on the surface is pretty clear. We are your local production partners. Our job is to make you look good. And we want to build trust and earn the privilege of being your strategic partner.
And let's not forget, we want to make your life easier, right? It's almost like a promise you're making every time you engage with them.
Right, exactly. Totally. But there is also an important nuance here. The overall strategy is elastic in its execution. It's more like a guide, almost, helping you form your own pitch and conversation based on these core ideas.
Yeah, that flexibility is key. Being so relationship driven lets you adapt on the fly to different regions, right? Since even terminology can change from one area to another.
Yeah, absolutely. Regional differences matter a lot because even the language or the jargon can shift slightly, which makes it essential that you're in tune with uh, local norms and practices.
So, you're saying that regional adaptation is almost as critical as the core messaging?
Yeah, that's spot on. Indeed. And then moving forward, once you've built that relationship base, you enter the long term partnership stage. Now you're more than just an on call vendor, you're an embedded, trusted advisor. That's when clients start bringing you into the planning process before even booking any jobs.
Mm-hmm. So it's more like you're offering ongoing value, kind of like being the secret ingredient behind a well executed show.
Exactly. Right? And it's so much about the little details too. For instance, handling daily actuals by 10 a.m. without excuses, or offering post show debriefs to share learnings. These details almost become the signature of a reliable partner.
Yes, that daily actual information is crucial. It's like it helps both parties keep track and manage budgets effectively, sort of eliminating any surprises at the end.
Absolutely. And that's where the pillars of value, accountability, and transparency really shine through. They're not just buzzwords, they're the everyday principles that you weave into every interaction. It's about being accountable for, not just the work you deliver, but how you do it.
I find that really impressive because in a gig by gig environment, your value has to be like sticky. It needs to make clients want to keep coming back.
Right, literally sticky like glue. Exactly. It's almost like being the backbone that supports all their operations. And speaking of operations, there's also a well laid visual framework for the sales cycle. It starts with awareness, moves on to trial, then repeat use, and eventually matures into a trusted advisory role.
So each phase builds on the previous one, right? And if you nail each stage, it becomes a self reinforcing cycle.
Absolutely, right on. Yeah, and it's that consistency, being in contact between gigs, offering useful tips, and even just checking in that sets the stage for being seen as much more than just a labor provider.
You know, I sometimes wonder if trying to be too adaptable could dilute the message. Do you think there's a risk of over
That's a
customization?
good point, but not really if you stick to the core principles. Yeah, exactly. While you tailor your approach to each prospect, you always come back to the central ideas. Make them look good, make their life easier, and be a partner they can trust. It's like using a versatile blueprint that can still hold the same structure no matter what. It's like it's like having a favorite recipe that you tweak, but the base remains the same.
A recipe for success that never changes even if you sprinkle in a few local spices.
Exactly, exactly. And let's not skip over the challenges. Common objections like, we already have a guy, or I've had bad experiences with labor companies, are quite typical. What's brilliant here is that instead of replacing an existing team, the idea is to support them. Like you're the extra pair of hands ready to step in when needed.
Yeah, it's like saying even the best teams have a bench.
Exactly. Right. And another objection might be about the pricing being high. But then, if you think about it, if a client overstaffs to hedge against uncertainty, then getting the right people in the first place actually saves money in the long run. It's all about communicating that long term value.
I can see that. It's like the upfront cost is actually an investment that pays off by optimizing the workflow and reducing waste.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's another noteworthy tactic. When you're on the field, you're always recruiting new talent, always keeping an eye out for people who not only have the skills, but the right energy. This constant hustle is key to building depth in each local market.
Constant recruitment ensures you're never stuck with a one trick pony. It also gives you more flexibility during sudden spikes in demand, right?
Exactly, absolutely. Yep, and even in that long term partnership phase, it's vital to get input from different angles, bringing in PMs, AEs, or ops leaders when necessary. This multi layered involvement builds a robust foundation for collaboration.
Right. It's all about diversifying your contacts within a client's organization so that your value is recognized at multiple levels.
Yep, that's it exactly. And overall, I think the beauty of this strategy lies in its simplicity yet depth. It's not merely about closing a sale, but about nurturing a relationship that ultimately makes both sides better. Every touch point is like a step toward a deeper, more reliable partnership.
Mm, it really does turn a transactional relationship into something much more meaningful. There's a kind of mutual growth embedded in this strategy.
Absolutely. And um, what I find most compelling is that at its core, it reminds you to stay true to the message, always keeping in mind that every conversation, no matter how brief, is an opportunity to reinforce that value proposition. It's about continuously earning trust.
Right. Trust and reliability are the real currency in these relationships. And it makes me think, isn't that, in the end, a universal strategy, not just for production companies, but for many service
Yeah,
industries?
I'd say so. For sure, it's like a blueprint that can be adapted across various domains while still maintaining that personal touch. It really underscores the importance of being relational over purely transactional.
And it definitely challenges the norm of cold and personal sales, making it deeply human and grounded in real connections.
Exactly right. So, in summary, this strategy is all about being there for your client, aligning with their needs, and continuously proving that you're not just another vendor. You're a valued partner who helps them succeed at every level.
And that's what really sets you apart in such a dynamic and unpredictable industry. Truly a game changer in approach.